This is a special edition of Issues in Education. I'm Jennifer Blome, coming to you from Dressel Elementary in the Lindbergh School District, and I'm joined by Dennis Young, the president and CEO of Ittner Architects, and Dr. Jim Simpson, who's the superintendent of schools. What a beautiful elementary school. When it comes to designing a new school like this, Dr. Simpson, what do you think makes a school great?
I believe that making a school great, it's essential that you have a concept of the education that you want in that building to start with. And where we're right now, we're at Dressel Elementary. Each one of our wings is a grade level so that those teachers can collaborate. Each area has a STEM area so we can do science, technology, engineering, and math. You can walk out of the classroom, go down to the STEM room, and work on that. Also, this building we're in, it's essential that you get all the noisy stuff away from the classroom. We understand that now. So where we're sitting right now, the classrooms are away from us. So they're so quiet over there because over here is the gym, over here is the cafeteria, over here is the parents.
And that's where we are now,
That's where we are now. So actually, the building's extremely quiet. But then you have wide halls so that you don't have that congestion in the halls. And then you have to have the safety features, which are incredibly important, about you have to have hundreds of cars. How are you going to get those on the campus and off the campus? And you have the bus traffic, and how are you going to separate that? This building has it all. Ittner did a fantastic job in designing this building and all the traffic and safety features, including the security. Mm-hmm. So all the modern conveniences that we have here makes this an ideal educational building.
So Dennis Young is the president and CEO of Ittner Architects, which designed the building, correct, Dennis?
Yes.
I noticed the lighting right away. How does that influence a student in school?
Well, learning has changed over the years, and building design has to change with it. What everybody has always known is that natural light really affects the learning environment. And I guess in the 80s when they had the energy crisis and buildings started getting window reduction programs and windows were starting to get removed, if you will, it was a big impact on the learning environment. So as you can see in a space like this, every which way you look, the environment here changes based on how the light changes. Mm-hmm. So no longer are you learning in a sterile environment of constant light, constant temperature. The variety is really what makes you, I think, learn a lot better.
And how do colors influence a student's learning? You told me that they did, and so I'm noticing colors as we took the tour. I noticed the colors in every room.
Well, it's different for every age group. But, schools, people just follow the same methodology. Let's show primary colors because it's a primary building. Mm-hmm. Well, if you see in this building, you don't see that a lot. You'll see colors as a wayfinding technique so that someone in the first grade who's in the green wing, they find that color green and they know where to go.
Well, the colors look more natural, like a basil green. They look like natural colors that you would find in produce.
Yeah, what we find is both light, color, and textures really affect your behavior. Mm-hmm. So if we want to get kids all excited, we can do that with some bright colors and lights. But we really want to have an environment that's conducive to a variety of different kinds of activities and behaviors. So a room like this is a multi-purpose room. Well, it needs to really swing a lot of different directions, both for adult use, as the Boy Scouts are doing over there right now with their pull-down screen. So I think color, texture, and light really set the tone of the kind of culture and the expectation that you have of the students.
The playground is amazing and wheelchair accessible.
Right.
What's that flooring on the playground? Sort of a rubber?
Well, it's a poured-in-place, soft playground. And I was here last week watching some of the kids play, and I swear if I wasn't watching them closely, they hit and bounced right back up. But I know that didn't happen. But for this age group, that's a great play service.
And there are musical instruments built into the playground, which is really something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're good instruments. They're sort of pleasant to play on.
Like a xylophone.
Yeah, they have a xylophone. They have several musical instruments built. So these are the instruments that children can go to, and they're big. And so you get the mallets and you start playing on these, and they have beautiful tones and inspire the students. Playgrounds are a whole new thing than what when I went to school. Well, they're wholly different.
Well, and Dr. Simpson, the entire classroom looks different. There are no longer desks lined up in rows. There are tables. It seems open. And then there are some chairs that move. And we all know some students cannot sit still. Is that to accommodate them?
It certainly is. What we're trying to do is take the restrictions away and let learning occur in a whole new different way. It's a different generation, different pedagogy, and collaboration is really important. The role of the teacher has changed. Yes. This mentoring among students. And, I think architects and in some cases educators over the years have imposed their way of thinking on how a classroom should be. Well, there should not be that. It should be in control of the teacher and the students to really create the kind of multi-purpose room that it needs to be.
So you mean architects thought we needed that institutional
you just
look of days gone by, or that's just what was in fashion in our day?
I guess you just don't think about it. But if you really think about how to optimize learning and allow kids to discover, allow them to develop the kinds of competencies in the areas for their grade level, you need to just give it some more thought rather than just saying, here is a classroom. I know what a classroom is. Well, when we start designing Dressel, we started with some of those basic questions of the staff. What is this? And really force people to think outside the box. That's where you really get some interesting discoveries and create a design like this.
So among those discoveries, I noticed there's seating in a lot of the hallways just because benches are built in. Was that based on feedback you got from parents, teachers, or the school board?
Yeah, it's based on that kind of feedback and just observations in other schools that, hallways aren't just for circulation. It's a place for social gathering. It's a place for waiting for friends. It's a place for 3 or 4 students to sit down and maybe study a little bit. So we really have to think about circulation in hallways a little differently. It's just an extension of the classroom.
One sad fact of life is security, but Dressel Elementary does that very well, too. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that, Mr. Young and Dr. Simpson?
Yes, this building is modern. It's at the latest level of security that schools are. It's fully camera. We have a camera in every part of the building so we can see what goes on or monitor that or look at something.
And the principal can actually look on his phone.
And he can look on his
all
phone
the
and
cameras.
see that. Exactly right. It's very modern in how we release traffic. In other words, there's a scan card in every parent car. When they drive on the campus, it's scanned and it puts the name of the student on the screen so we know to release them, and they walk out into that car.
Very impressive.
Now, how many?
Very impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
That cannot exist in too many schools.
No, I think we might be the only one in St. Louis doing that. And so but there's all kinds of ways that security and safety can be enhanced. We certainly have the door situation where you can't get into this building without being you have to push a buzzer, and we look at you through a camera and let you in, so we make sure no one's getting in that shouldn't get in. We're all about keeping students safe. We're all about making sure that the building functions as a safe learning environment. So it's a very modern layout. It's our pride and joy in terms of it has all the latest features for safety.
Well, the fact that you have the student drop-off and pick-up in a separate place from the school buses in itself is a really wonderful design feature, because I know many parents have gotten stuck behind buses, and then the pickup turns into an hour.
Exactly right. And what happens is the bus is so tall the parents can't see over it. So you mix those big buses, and it's very dangerous to mix buses and cars, not just in terms of flow, but in terms of visibility and siding. So here, we have two totally. On one side of the building are the buses, on the other side are the parents. So they never mix, and so it's very, very safe.
And yet, Dr. Simpson, we were talking earlier about even with this sophisticated scanning system, some parents get here an hour early.
We do
because they want to be first in line.
They want to scan first. They want to be the first to scan, and that's okay. They can sit out there and do what they want to do and line up. But yes, we do have early arrivals.
So, Dennis, tell us, we just have a few minutes remaining, but the whole process of building Dressel Elementary and then seeing the finished product, what was that like for you?
Well, I think on the day of dedication there was 1,600 visitors.
People visited our building to see this beautiful building.
That's the largest I've ever experienced. And what's really heartwarming for me is when you're in the building and you're watching a child come in with their grandparents. Okay, now I can tell you the grandparents haven't had a school like this.
Oh, it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
And this school is for learning. That's what it's designed for. And, they're holding their grandparents' hands and walking through. And sometimes you want to step back and say, oh, they're going to think, look at all this extra windows and that's a frill. It's not a frill. Everything in here is done for a purpose. There's no frills. Everything has been thought about. Right? It's been scrutinized by Dr. Simpson from a cost standpoint. So, we're at about $220 a square foot for this building with all the stormwater detention requirements from MSD. It's just an outstanding way of spending taxpayers' dollars.
Well, I would encourage anyone who has not seen it to come on by Dressel Elementary in the Lindbergh School District. Dennis Young is the president and CEO of Ittner Architects, and Dr. Jim Simpson, superintendent of schools, who will be retiring soon. But thank you both very much for joining us.